All right, everybody, welcome to Men in Stripes, brought to you by StripeHype.com, an affiliate of Fansided, for another edition of Bengals coverage on the best podcast around you can find. Tim Danny here, excited for a huge show. We're breaking down the NFL schedule tonight, as well as the big news and the big trade in the NFL, so we have a lot to touch on. Let's go ahead and bring in our excellent co-editor of Stripe Hype, Matthew Wilson. Matthew, how we doing?
I'm doing well. Hopefully you're feeling better.
Yeah, man, that was not fun last week, to say the least. My poor girlfriend had to take care of me.
There you go. Well, that's one of the big reasons why women are much better than men.
Yeah.
So
we'll go with that.
We'll go with that because I'm married, and my wife every once in a while will pay attention to this. So.
I'm not there yet. She'll be there when I record. But she is kind of doesn't know anything about sports, so she just nods her head and goes, "Yeah, that sounds great."
But anyway, new schedule.
Yeah, let's get right to it, man. So the schedule is out, and it's interesting.
It is.
We know they have a Monday night game with the New York Football Giants in the Meadowlands on Week 10, coming off a bye, coming off London into a bye, playing the New York Football Giants.
Yep.
We know that Vontaze Burfict will miss one of the Steelers matchups because the NFL's a bunch of pussies and put them at Week 2. Oh, did I say that?
Well, they don't have algorithms anymore. They have to go by computers and the VP of Broadcasting. By the way, if you haven't seen it, go to Bengals.com. They actually have a video published by the NFL Network showing the supposed way that the NFL schedule is created now. Of course, giving tribute to the original man, myth, and legend, and now I'm going to blank on his last name, but Val, who is the original schedule maker, which he had no help, which I didn't ever know that it was one guy who sat in a room for months on end and created an NFL schedule.
Respect.
That actually was really cool.
Yeah, that's respect.
So go to Bengals.com and check out the video because it's really, really cool in terms of seeing kind of how everything is broken down. But, yeah, Pittsburgh Week 2 in Pittsburgh. So it's going to be really brutal, although it makes it kind of interesting because, well, I'm in Pittsburgh. Which, by the way, I found out today. Coming home from, I told Tim I went to the Pirates game today, with my first Pirates game with my daughter. And I actually got behind, and I had to text Sean to make sure it wasn't him, but somebody else who had a Bengals license plate frame.
Nice.
In Pittsburgh.
Nice.
And I know they weren't lost because they had a Pennsylvania license plate.
Oh.
So.
Man, they do exist. I'm sure when I go to Dallas for that game, I'm probably going to be one of the 7.
I know we have one or two down there, for sure. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you will be one of the
9 then.
yeah, 9.
Yeah.
We'll get with that.
Yeah.
But of course, starting off the season with the New York Jets.
Yeah.
In the Meadowlands.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So.
Then you go to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
So then you come home for 2 weeks. You have Denver and Miami. It looks like Miami might be a Thursday night game, because the date on it is 9/29, and the Denver game's 9/25.
Yep.
So, great. Remember the last time we played Miami on Thursday night? Old Geno Atkins got hurt. Yeah, that was fun.
That was Halloween, by the way.
Yeah.
So, that was some pretty bad tricks.
Yeah.
So we don't hate Halloween this year.
And then you go to Dallas, you go to New England, you come home for Cleveland, you go to London for Washington. You're on a bye. You go to the Meadowlands again to face the Giants. You come home for the Bills. Go to Baltimore. Come home for Philly. Go to Cleveland. Come home for Pittsburgh. Go to Houston. So wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last half of the season, they bounce back and forth between away, home, away, home, away, home, away, home.
In the first half of the season, 2 away, 2 home, 2 away, 2 home.
What in the world?
I guess they like patterns?
Apparently so. So, yeah.
We do at least get them home on week 17 when, by the way, on New Year's Day.
Dude, I feel like this Week 17 home game against Baltimore, has that been like 5 of the last 6 years? Like, since Dalton and Green have been on the team, I feel like there's only been once that hasn't happened. Am I wrong there?
Who did they play? Was it Baltimore last year that they played this season?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Maybe because it didn't matter.
Right. The year before was the Steelers on Sunday night. That was when A.J. Green got concussed by Mike Mitchell. And that's the only... I think that's the only other time, like...
Yes, you're right.
So let's look at the non-division games that really stand out, that really excite you for the matchup possibility. Because yes, the NFL's had a lot of changes this offseason. It's like it doesn't feel like there's been a ton of moves compared to previous years, but it feels like all the moves have been huge. So one game that really stands out for me is Week 3 against the defending Super Bowl champion Denver Broncos, who we still don't know who the heck their quarterback is. They don't know who their quarterback is. They're a defense that has lost a lot of players. Now, they still have some talent. The Aqib Talibs, the Chris Harrises, obviously the Von Millers. But, man, they've lost how many guys on defense? Gosh. So that's a game that really stands out that's interesting to me. Obviously, Dallas. I have a weird soft spot in my heart for the Cowboys, I guess, just because of growing up in the 90s, I guess, might be my reasoning.
Well, I mean, who can forget, of course, the Troy Aikman, Terrell Owens.
Terrell Owens? What? That was Tony Romo.
What? That was Tony Romo. Yeah, you're right. Who am I thinking of?
Michael Irvin?
Thank you. We said it at the same time, too. That's the sad thing. Michael Irving. Emmitt Smith.
Yeah. Dion,
which was still kind of interesting because I still somewhat think of him as a Falcon, too.
Yeah. I think of him as a Cincinnati Red.
Well, I remember, and I may be wrong, but I was at one of the games where he hit an in the park home run.
I was at one.
So, that was kind of interesting. By the way, ESPN is breaking down the Broncos' schedule, and they actually have the Broncos losing at the Bengals in Week 3.
Brian Dawkins has them losing Week 3. I get that, man, because you got to think, like, whoever's going to be their quarterback, if it's Paxton Lynch, if it's Mark Sanchez, if it's Colin Kaepernick, their only hope going into that game is running the ball.
Well, you also have what? You have Connor Cook out of Michigan State who might go there. I mean, this whole thing, and we'll get into this in a minute, of course, but this whole thing with the trade now, if you haven't heard, the Titans have traded away the number 1 pick to the Los Angeles Rams. I have to reprogram my mind. I almost said St. Louis there.
I do too.
But they traded away the number 1 pick. Of course, the Rams also gave up their 15th, and then they gave up their 2nd round, and then their 2 third rounds, and then next year their 1st round and their 3rd round?
Yeah.
So they gave up a whole heck of a lot. We'll get into that in a minute, but going to that, Denver is now affected by this hugely because a lot of people thought that they may go with a quarterback, especially with this whole Colin Kaepernick thing falling apart, and not knowing exactly who their quarterback's going to be, and if they may actually have to take the quarterback out of Michigan State, Connor Cook, because I hate to say it, but you're going to have what? Goff most likely is going to be gone now. Wentz is going to be definitely gone. Paxton Lynch is going to be gone. Who else do we have in front of him? In front of Connor?
Dak Prescott, maybe?
Maybe. I'm not even ready to say that one.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Because I think, because you got to think the Jets still don't know if they're going to have Fitzpatrick back.
Right.
So that's a huge thing there. They pick, 20th? 21st? 20th. Yeah.
Yes.
And then who else has quarterback issues out there? What are the Cowboys going to do? Are they going to draft Romo's future player there? I mean, does this open the door for them to get Jalen Ramsey? Does this open the door? Ezekiel Elliott's been linked to the Cowboys a few times of late. Yeah, man, there's so many interesting things there. Buffalo still has not been able to put a deal together for Tyrod Taylor for a long term, so there's a lot going into this, man, that just makes this really interesting. And so, that quarterback situation is going to be really huge there for sure.
Yep.
Absolutely. But yeah. So, if you look at the schedule, you look at these teams here, man. If you had to just make a thought process off your head, I'll look at it and say that this team could win 12 games again next year.
I'm a little bit less optimistic. I think part of me still wants to see what this whole receiving core is behind A.J. Green and Tyler Eifert. And it somewhat concerns me, it somewhat doesn't. Also, is there going to be a distraction with the fact that Giovanni Bernard's going into his last year? How well will Jeremy Hill do? A couple things there, obviously offensively, that allow for a little bit more of kind of a hesitation for me. I am probably in the 10-6 range. My losses, you're in New England. I almost have to say that. Mm-hmm. I think they split with Pittsburgh. Yep. I hate saying that, but that's number 2. It's hard. It's going to be hard with everybody back to sweep Baltimore again.
No, it's not.
Well, I'm on the fence with that.
Dude, look at this. Since Steve Smith has been playing for the Ravens, they have never beat the Bengals.
Senior?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that stat. I like that stat though.
It's true though. If you think, the Bengals were on a 5-game win streak against Baltimore even before Smith got there.
True. And of course, but they had everybody injured, and that's my only big concern last year.
Well, you got to think. It's like, and also those games are like, what is A.J. Green going to do against Baltimore this game? Like, it's always like, when you look at his highlight reel, by the time A.J. Green's done, we're going to have a highlight reel of A.J. Green versus the Baltimore Ravens, and it might be 20 minutes long.
Oh, that's going to be his whole Hall of Fame resume, isn't it?
You're probably right.
Steve Smith's Hall of Fame resume is going to show him pushing off on players.
Yep.
And Yellow Hanky's coming out instead. I like the matchup against Washington at home. Jay Gruden should get a good homecoming there.
You mean London?
What's that?
That's London, bro.
Oh, in London. Oops. Still, he's going to play his old team. I keep forgetting they're going to London against Washington.
Don't remind me. I'm pissed.
I hate the fact that it's a home game. I think that should be on Washington.
Try being a Bengals season ticket holder and knowing you have to give up a game for that.
Are they at least charging you less?
Kind of. So they're charging us less in preseason.
Okay.
But they're still adding to the price of the regular season.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Right, logical, right?
That makes interesting sense.
It annoys the piss out of me. I won't lie to you.
Philadelphia is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That one's going to be kind of one of those, we don't know what they're coming out with, because they're going to be a whole different team. Houston, again, scares me a little bit. This team seems to have issues with Houston.
Yeah.
So that one, and especially at Houston, I don't like that game so much. Dallas, I'm sorry, I don't have as much of a soft spot for Dallas, especially with the reason why Roger Goodell is still in charge, being the owner of that team. Between him and Robert Kraft, of course.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough too, because you're coming off of the Miami game, going into Dallas, knowing that 1 week later you have to play New England in New England. So being up for both of those games is going to be kind of tough, and it's going to weigh on their mind, even if they sit there and say, we've got to just focus on 1 week at a time.
Let's see. If I go to my 4, so I think they split with Pittsburgh, so that's 1. I think they lose to New England. I will say that they do lose to Houston, just because Houston just matches up really well with them. I don't know what it is, man. They just do. And then I will say the last one, because I think the Bengals will be in the driver's seat going into Week 17, that they can go ahead and give A.J. McCarron some snaps. I think that they'll probably lose that game to Baltimore, but I don't think it's going to matter. I really don't, man. Everyone, I'm seeing all these things on NFL.com. Everyone's saying the Steelers are going to win the division, and the Bengals just lost too much. But these people seem to forget, the rifle makes wide receivers. Look how many dudes that kid's got paid.
Yeah.
So I'm not concerned. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't love the idea of. Actually, I lied. I love the idea of AJ Green, Tyler for Brandon LaFell, and insert first-round pick wide receiver here, whether that be Coleman, Dotson, Fuller, or Treadwell. I'm all for that receiving core. And I love having Bernard and Hill. I think Hill's going to bounce back next year. I really do. I think he's going to fumble a couple times still just because, it's part of the game. I don't think he's going to fumble as often and as big in situations as he has. I think Tyler Kroft's going to step up and be big for this team next year. I don't think he's going to have like 6 or 7 touchdowns by any stretch, but I think he's going to be a really solid second tight end. And I still love this defense. You got to still love the D-line. You still got to love the linebacking core, especially adding Carlos Dansby. P.J. Dawson's going to have another year underneath his belt. And, I know losing Reggie Nelson sucks, but other than that, man, you're still looking at a really solid defensive back core there. I like, what this team has before the draft, and we're not even done yet adding free agency, honestly.
No, you're right. I mean, the Bengals have proven that they don't stay quiet until, the end, essentially. I mean, it is. I don't know. I'm still in one of those aspects of. I'm scratching my head a little bit because I want to see them do well. I want to see them succeed, but there again, some of these teams still have so many question marks around them. If they add the right pieces in the draft, now all of a sudden it becomes a much tougher schedule. I don't think they'll have an issue with the Jets, personally.
No.
I think there's too many things holding the Jets back there. The Giants, I think, are going to be much better this year.
I do too.
Last year.
Their defense is stacked.
And JPP has finally got his hand to a point where he's not in a club, if I remember hearing correctly.
Huh.
So he's going to have some use of that hand at least. So it's going to be interesting to see how he comes back. For sure. I mean, so again, I'm going to stick with my 10-6. I think we're going to see a couple games that they should win, that they lose, like every year. But I like the Bengals still to win. I think the Steelers will finish 10-6. I think there'll be a tiebreaker, whether it be the division, because Pittsburgh seems to always split one with.
They win here, we win there.
They always split. They always seem to split with Cincinnati, and then they always seem to split with Baltimore. They always seem to have at least a little bit of trouble with Baltimore. I wouldn't say Cleveland is going to be an issue for either of these teams. I think it will come down to, okay, number one, can the Bengals finish 5-1 in the division? And number two, what is the similar schedule? And I think the Bengals can actually win the similar schedule race against the Steelers. So for me, I think the Bengals and the Steelers actually tie, but I think the Bengals actually clinch it going into Week 17 by the light schedule.
I can't tell my nearest score.
Yeah, that could be fair. That could be true, man. So we had, is that your daughter there?
That is my daughter.
Nice, making her radio debut.
She is making a radio. She went to the Pirates game today for the first time, and she's making radio debut. There you go.
Are you guys actually Pirates fans?
There's a long history behind that because I used to be a Reds fan until Chris Sabo kind of got, shall we say, screwed over.
Okay.
So that was my favorite player for the Reds, and to this day, I mean, Chris Sabo, Rookie of the Year, back in what, 92, 93?
87.
What was it?
87.
Was it 87?
Yeah.
How the frick did he end up being my favorite player at that point? That was when I was born.
Was it like...
He was still my favorite player. I still remember the goggles, everything.
Was it like the cork bat? Was it when that happened, when all the bouncy balls broke out of his bat?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
No, actually, and it was funny because he has sat there and said, and I believe him, I mean, to the fact that number one wasn't his bat, and number two, of course, this is back when players didn't put their names on bats. Go figure. Early mid 90s, and so I mean, it's one of those situations where Marge Schott basically left him hanging out to dry, didn't support him, and just kind of let him go. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't like Marge Schott. I like Shotzi. Shotzi was like the cutest thing ever, right?
Yeah.
So I liked him, but then some stuff happened with Chris Sable. I didn't like the way it was handled, and so needless to say, I went to the Cubs. The Cubs team kids were playing with Daddy's money. Didn't like that situation, and when in Pittsburgh, I guess do as sometimes the Romans do, and Jay, Cincinnati boy.
You hurt my soul.
What's that?
You hurt my soul.
You know what? I have met Jay Hay. He is one of the most honest guys, one of the nicest guys, one of the most down-to-earth guys that you could ever meet. And plain and simple, I mean, the kid's nine days younger than me, by the way.
Yeah.
9 days younger than me. And so Jay Hay, again, one of the nicest guys in the world. He's one of those guys that if you met, he would take 5 minutes just to say hi. And he does a lot of charity work, does a lot of good work. You don't see him getting in trouble. He's got a good head on his shoulders. And he is one of the few players still in the MLB to have worked for everything that he has earned. And plain and simple, it isn't one of those, God-given skills where he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and be the greatest player. Every day he comes to play, every day he comes to do his best and give 110%, and that is how he is. And so I have mad respect for the boy.
Yeah. So, side note on that, I just realized that Vontaze Burfict makes his NFL return on Thursday Night Football.
Against Miami.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That is cool, but then again, Tannehill might have a headache.
I'd say Ryan Tannehill might get his soul ripped out like that, like Mortal Kombat style.
Absolutely. No, and I'll look forward to that because Ryan Tannehill yelled at practice squad defenders telling them that they're not good enough and that they shouldn't be picking him off. So please rip out his soul. He has none anyway.
All right, man, let's talk about it. The big news in the day, man, because, this is the talk of the NFL, obviously with the schedule coming out and everything, but the big trade that is the Tennessee Titans dealing out of the first pick of the draft to the Los Angeles Rams. Man, Hard Knocks is going to be fun this year, isn't it? You're going to talk the first year in L.A., you've got Todd Gurley, you're about to have Jared Goff. You still don't have many wide receivers. I don't think Tavon Austin's going to carry the load there for you. A lot of interesting stuff there, man. First off, we got to give props where props are due because the deal that they made, that the Titans made to get that first pick is excellent. Because let's be honest, they get DeMarco Murray. Like, that's a first pick in the draft, Like, that's a huge get. And then you go and you get all these picks added to it. You can trade down. You might potentially be able to get still somebody to protect Mariota because the guy who loses in this odd league is Laramie Tunsil. That's the kid that loses the most. Because he might drop to the Titans at 15 at this point, like with all the offensive line needs, or like Ronnie Stanley might be there at 15. It's just such a crazy thing. It's been a long time since I can remember a first overall pick being traded. Gosh, was it Michael Vick? It's been since Michael Vick.
Michael Vick.
Has it been since Michael Vick in 01?
I'm almost positive it's been since Michael Vick.
Huh. Damn. That's crazy. So, dude, like, your thoughts on it, man? Like, how shocked you were to see it? Because it's not something that happens all the time, obviously. What do you think about it?
I can understand why the Rams did it.
Me too.
But the Rams got rid of so much. Can they afford to lose all these draft picks with everything that they have lost by dropping players, by trying to drop cap, everything that way? Can they afford all these draft picks? I don't think so.
No.
And so I think what we're seeing here maybe is a little bit too much of Hollywood and a lot less of, like, reasoning. And so, for me, like, kudos to the Titans. I'd take this trade all day long.
Same here.
But if I'm the Rams, and if I'm fans of the LA Rams, because God knows everybody in St. Louis burned their jerseys. But if I'm a fan of the LA Rams, right now I am kicking myself, and I'm asking, should I really just go back to the San Francisco 49ers? Or should I go back to Oakland? Or should I any of those teams, because in all honesty, none of this makes sense from a Rams perspective. And so for me, granted, they could get the next Tom Brady with this number 1 pick. We won't know, obviously, until the season happens. But they just absolutely dismantled their defense.
Mm-hmm.
They've somewhat dismantled their offense.
Mm-hmm.
And so you still have nobody to protect this number 1 draft pick if you go quarterback.
Yeah.
Number 1. And number 2, you've got no draft pick to pick up anybody to protect this number 1 draft pick.
You don't.
And so it makes no sense from the Rams' perspective. From the Titans' perspective,
huge.
I am making the Johnny Manziel money signs right now.
Yeah, you have to, because you got to think, man. There are still so many good players at 15. How many guys have we listed over the last couple months of guys that you can see going anywhere from 2 to 25 that you go, damn, that's a good fit. And the Titans are going to have they're going to have so many opportunities to get good players there, and they can make their choices because Mariota's their franchise, so they went and got a running back.
Yeah,
you can't do much better than the running back they got in a trade.
No.
So it goes, okay, what do you do there? Should we go protect them? Do we get some offensive linemen? Do we go get a Stanley? Do we go get a Tunsil? Do we go get a Conklin? Or he really needs targets. Do we go get one of these 4 receivers that we keep talking about potentially falling to the Bengals? Tell me the idea of Marcus Mariota with DeMarco Murray in the backfield throwing to Josh Doxson doesn't sound awesome for a Titans fan. Your wife would be stoked. That would be huge as a building pattern there. Or, like I said, you go and get... Because I honestly think that Ronnie Stanley and Tunsil still go in the top 10. I think San Diego could really jump on Tunsil to protect Phillip Rivers because they need a lot of offensive line help. And I think the Bears are really going to look at Stanley when we do our mock draft here. Well, we only have 2 weeks. We got to get that done soon. To get there, I think that that's going to be a situation there. But yeah, man, it's just so interesting there. I love the idea for the Titans because you're stacking up. I think the Rams actually traded a couple of their RG3 picks in this deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. So when you look at this, you go and get... I think it's Goff. I'm sure you think it's Goff too. You go get Goff, all right? You have Todd Gurley in the backfield, who is the future of the NFL at running back. I don't see many people are going to be able to do the things he does for the next 10, 11 years. But who do you have a wide receiver? Tavon Austin. I saw Stedman Bailey's running around after his brutal tragedy, and I'm glad to see that he looks healthy and well. I mean, that's just great to see. But even before then, Brian Cook, is Wes Welker going to play for him next year? Is he going to do anything? What are you doing with these picks? You haven't signed any wide receivers that are going to be a big jump. You lost a lot of players, not just in who you released, but who you cut. Who signs elsewhere. So you don't have a DeJoris Jenkins anymore in your secondary. You don't have your all-time tackle leader in James Laurinaitis, like we talked about. What? This seems like it's a deal where Stan Kroenke is just I just want to sell tickets. Which you're in LA, dude. You don't need to make this deal to sell tickets.
Well, I mean, they still have Kenny Britt.
True.
Which we all know that Kenny Britt's best years were with Jeff Fisher.
Yeah.
Of course, Todd Gurley. I think we mentioned him in the backfield.
Yeah, but even his backup Trey Mason's now has an arrest warrant.
Yeah. Brian Quick is still there.
Yeah.
And Bailey, we said.
Those aren't big-time players, though. Those aren't guys that make you go, I need a game plan that Brian Quick doesn't beat me this week.
No, the only one that I think you could sit there and say that has any type of... Actually, there's 2 that you might have to at least have some type of plan around are there 1 and 2, and that is Kenny Britt and Tavon Austin. At least on paper, because Kenny Britt, again, Jeff Fisher knows how to use him. Jeff Fisher knows how to exploit him, and make sure that at least that he knows what he's doing. That's something that he didn't have in where was he, New England, for a short period of time.
Who's that? Fisher?
No. Kenny Britt.
Tennessee.
Well, he was with Tennessee. He went somewhere else before he went to St. Louis, didn't he?
Hold on, I'm looking this up. Keep that thought.
I almost want to say he was with. I could be wrong, but I want to say he was with for a short period of time. New England. Nope, I was wrong. It was just St. Louis.
Aha.
So I was wrong. But he was the number 2. I mean, last year past 2 years he's played in all 16 games, and he's had 680 in 2015 or 681 yards in 2015, and he had 748 yards in 2014. So there again, without Jeff Fisher, we saw him play in 12 games, have 11 receptions and 96 yards in 2013. I mean, it was terrible. 2014 and 15, he's come back. Again, the number 2 there. Tavon Austin's kind of the number 3, but he's kind of the number 1 if they use him correctly.
Yeah.
Because he has that talent. I'm not a Brian Quick fan.
I had him in fantasy football one year. He did well for me.
He is 6'3", though.
Yeah.
That concerns me size-wise, but so is Kenny Britt. Tavon Austin is the what of the NFL? 5'8". Remind you anybody?
Jose Altuve?
No, I was thinking Will Fuller.
Will Fuller's 6'1".
Is he 6'1"? I thought he was short.
No, he's 6'1".
I'll have to look that up. I thought he was short.
I sat next to the homeboy, all right?
I know you have. I'm not questioning you. I'm sitting here just throwing. For some odd reason, I was thinking I was reading something. He was short.
I mean, 6'1's not tall.
6'1" ain't short either.
Hold on. He might be 5'10".
Well, that would put us both in the middle.
He's 6 foot even. 6 even.
6 foot. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
still closer, but
yeah, you are, but that's fine.
It depends who's measuring him, right?
Exactly. I don't care if he's 6'7". He runs a 4.34, and
but
he scores.
Tavon Austin has speed, and that's one thing that in this game, Tavon Austin's speed plays off.
Yeah, it does, but at the same time, Tavon Austin's big plays, if you look at them, they're never he goes deep downfield and beats somebody. It's the Rams ran some trick play that he fooled everybody. It's not like he runs past some safety. And this isn't just keep bringing this up, because I will say this about Corey Coleman too. If you see the highlights of these guys like Corey Coleman and Will Fuller, they literally run past safeties who game plan for 7 days. Don't let this guy get behind you, and they still do. Tavon Austin hasn't done that in the NFL. Now, again, I will say that the guys that Corey Coleman and Will Fuller had throwing to them in college might have been better than the NFL quarterbacks Tavon Austin has had. But, yeah. I mean, Deshaun Kaiser, I think, could probably play in the NFL next year somewhere. But, yeah, honestly, it's just kind of that process there for them. So, yeah, man, I think that I just don't know what the Rams are doing there. I understand why they're getting the first pick, but they're not setting up this kid for failure. I mean, for success. Whether it be Goff or Wentz. I think it's Goff. And I think Wentz ends up in Cleveland at pick 2. So I don't think either of these kids, even though I like them both, I think they're both going to be good NFL quarterbacks. I don't think they're going to be great NFL quarterbacks. I don't think they're going to be Pro Bowler, big every year in Europe Pro Bowlers. I think Wentz has a chance to be that way. It's so scary to see for these poor kids. They're like, yeah, you're the first 2 picks, you're going to make a lot of money. That's about it.
Yeah, I feel bad kind of for Tunsil because, I mean, he was set up to be that number 1 pick.
He might have just lost $15 million.
But at the same time, I mean, it may be the best case scenario too for him because, granted, he would be protecting Marcus Mariota, but I'm not huge yet on the Titans coaching staff. I think they have a lot still to prove. I like, obviously, Marcus Mariota.
I love him.
I like, obviously, how that team's set up offensively at this point. You know, now it's just a matter of can they put it all together? And I don't know. Like, for me, I've seen what their coaching staff has done in the past. And their coaching staff in the past has been okay since Jeff Fisher. Nothing to really write home about.
No.
They've had decent years, but nothing spectacular. And so until I see something spectacular, I think coaching is going to be their biggest issue. You can have all the superstars in the world, and if they don't play well together, then you've accomplished nothing. Trying to think of what's the best team that was. Maybe it was Miami. Was kind of the last team that was like, you know, they had some great players, but they didn't play well together.
Yeah, Miami did that. I feel like that's like every NBA team anymore. Like any super team that's not the Miami Heat of the LeBron James days. It's like every baseball team that spends a ton of money these days, except for the Cubs. Oh, the Cubs didn't really spend a lot of money actually. They just put a team together. But yeah, you're right. It's so crazy there for sure. I don't know, man. Like, I think it's it's so rare, but it's so neat, and it's so nice because it gives us something to talk about in the off season. Like, holy hell, this is happening. You know what I mean? So, I'm stoked about it. I totally feel bad for Laramie Tunsil. Like, that kid, like you said, I mean, he was so set. So, other than that, man, speaking of these prospects, we have tomorrow is we get the results of the medical day from the combine, so everything. So. We have a lot of those kids that we didn't get to, those Miles Jacks, those Jalen Smiths. We're going to find out a lot about where these kids will be drafted tomorrow.
Yeah, there's a good idea that we'll have there, obviously, from a physical standpoint. Of course, nobody puts anything into this IQ test, or at least they shouldn't. I think the IQ test is about as good as Common Core. And yeah, my wife's a teacher too, so Common Core, yeah. We won't ask her that question either, because you won't get off that topic for the next hour. So, I'm kind of one of those. I don't know. This whole thing is we love to see what the physicality or the how good these guys are in physical condition, how healthy they are, everything that way. But we all know that nobody is going to be a make or break until they hit the football field. And Clowney is probably the best example of that.
I am not ready to write him off yet.
I'm not either, but he's got to stay 100% healthy, and he's got to continue to just study the guy that he has on the other side of the field.
And in the middle. Hell, you forgot Vince Wilfork's on that team.
Well, I think from a leadership standpoint, Wilfork helps, but J.J. Watt, because of course, those two spend a lot of time together in the film room. I am listening to everything that man says if I am Clowney.
Oh, yeah. And
I'm taking it in, I am taking notes, and I'm just learning everything I can, because if you want to talk about probably, he's only halfway into his career, and you can already call him pretty much a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I don't think it's pretty much. I would say that he's got his place waiting for him in Canton already.
So, I mean, that's somebody that I'm
yeah.
on a daily basis, or at least twice a week, going, all right, here's what I see from my standpoint. What do you think I can improve on? And I'm just listening. And so, Clowney has every opportunity in the world still. He's just got to stay healthy.
Did you see today, NFL.com's doing these like draft do-overs that they do every year?
I haven't seen that yet.
So they did one today, and it was like the 2014 draft do-over. And they had, it was kind of interesting, I saw, because they had, and so with the first pick, they had the Texans taking Derek Carr. Totally see that. And the second pick, they had, who was it? Who had the second pick that year? Oh man, whoever it was whoever it was they had taking Teddy Bridgewater, and then they had Blake Bortles going 3 to Jacksonville. Still, they had Sammy Watkins. They still had Khalil Mack going 5. So basically, whoever wrote this said that they think whoever had the second pick that year would still have rather had Teddy Bridgewater than Khalil Mack. I love Teddy Bridgewater. No way would I pass up Khalil Mack if I could have a do-over.
Well, I agree with you. My only thing with that is we've seen him have flashes where he's good. Mac, I like, but was that a need for them at that point?
Let me find it. Dylan was the one that tweeted, and that's who I saw it from.
Okay.
I don't know, man. So we get on Twitter during our show, people. Don't judge us.
Yeah. By the way, that means that if you have questions, and we do record every single time, 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, if you have questions, just tweet them.
It was the Rams.
Tweet us. Because we'll be on Twitter looking at questions too, and we can ask them right away. So please do that.
The Rams taking Bridgewater instead of Greg Robinson.
Okay.
I still take Khalil Mack.
Yeah. What? Yeah. But then again, I still love. Which I like the fact that ESPN has the reason, or Jeff Fisher on trying to reason why they decided to spend the farm.
Hey, so while we're doing this, man, we did have some Bengals news this week.
Yes.
Try to touch on it there. Tyler Eifert getting his option picked up. I think you and I both said that we expect the Bengals are going to try to start negotiating with him this offseason to try to get his deal done for a long-term deal. I fully feel he is a guy that the Bengals have to keep. They cannot let Tyler Eifert get away from them. Just such a red zone threat. I don't think he's even touched his ceiling yet because he hasn't even played a full season yet. I mean, the most games he's played now is 13. I think that he's just, he's a guy you got to have. I think you can agree with that too.
Yes.
So I think obviously it's a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I fully believe the Bengals are going, because it seems to be now. We know they're not going to overpay for somebody, but we know who they think is important to them, because we know they weren't going to pay $9 million to keep Mohamed Sanu. And the Marvin Jones deal, we know the Bengals offered it, but he took it elsewhere. I don't think the Bengals are too sad about losing him, honestly. So I think that Tyler Eifert's a huge get you got to have there. So, what do you think, man? Obviously it's the right move. We think we can agree on that. But how big is it for this team?
Well, I mean, it's for sure the right move. Tyler Eifert is such a huge part of this team. He is probably. I know I'm going to probably get hate mail on this. I think he's even more important than AJ Green. The reason I say this is because A.J. Green, we know what he's going to do week in and week out. We know his role. But without Tyler Eifert there, we don't see the production from A.J. Green. We don't see the respect that A.J. Green gets, I shouldn't say with respect. We don't see linebackers trying to hold position because now they have to account for Tyler Eifert. We don't see safeties trying to creep up to try to guard Tyler Eifert because, he's not there type thing. He becomes much more important to this team in so many different ways. The one thing I would love to see Tyler Eifert improve on is the run block.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that he's okay at run block, but he's not by any means where guys like Heath Miller, who excelled, and the reason why guys like Le'Veon Bell and D'Angelo Williams have done so well, because they've had the outside sealed up pretty well. I mean, it's not to expect him to be that, but at the same time, he's got to have. That's probably his one area of improvement that he should focus on, kind of going into the off-season workouts and things like that as we come due for him. But the importance, as I said, kind of goes further than just he's a receiving threat. He takes bodies away from these wide receivers, and that in itself is probably the most important thing. Not to mention he does catch a few balls at time to time, but just his presence is so much more important to this team than even his contribution from catching the ball. And so, for him, or for the team to lock him up with his option and give them some time to really negotiate and get things set with the team, it was definitely the right move, and he truly is top two, if not the most important player on this team going into 2016.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So, all right, man, so we got a few minutes left here. Let's go ahead and touch on a little bit of picking up or putting down. I don't have too many topics this week, but I think we can still have some fun with it. So, you ready?
Well, first we probably should mention Men in Stripes, brought to you by StripeHype.com.
Bum, bum, bum.
And, of course, our fan-sided network of Stripe Hype is that lovely thing. Our guys do a great job every single week. We got a new one, or there's a couple new ones out, of course, touching on the schedule. Touching on probably the biggest news this week, too, was why Hue Jackson didn't stay in Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, the Rams versus Titans. We'll touch on the Hue Jackson thing and how much, and I actually will use that as a picking up and putting down question, so we don't need to break that down just yet.
Sounds good.
So, picking up or putting down, go ahead.
All right. Now, with everything that has now happened today in the draft, picking up or putting down, at number 4 in this year's NFL draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Jalen Ramsey, defensive back from Florida State.
I'm picking up because I think he'll be there. I think for the most part, and I don't know why I'm blanking on who has the number 3 spot. I know who has the number 2 spot.
Jacksonville?
I think Jacksonville will be a great...
It's San Diego is 3, Dallas is 4, Jacksonville is 5.
I think San Diego, as much as they would like defense, I think they could go for, if they don't trade away from that spot, I think they could possibly go for Tunsil.
Yeah.
Because, no offense, Phillip Rivers, even though I think he was the second most in passing yards, still got beat on in that backfield.
Yep.
And somebody to really help to protect him would be a huge thing, which means Jalen Ramsey would be there because obviously number 1, number 2 seems like it's going quarterback with Goff going 1 and Wentz going 2. So I'm picking it up because I think Jalen Ramsey is going to be there, number 1. Number 2, they need somebody to stop somebody.
Right.
Because that's the biggest issue they had last year.
I'm picking up. I still think he's the best player in this draft. Even though he might not be the best fit for the first 3 teams, I think that there's no way in hell that he gets past the Dallas Cowboys. And I like Joey Bosa a lot, and I could definitely see Bosa going to the Cowboys with that pick. But as far as the defensive back, you can put him at corner, you can put him at safety, you can have him as your punt returner. I think Jalen Ramsey just brings so much to the table. And if Big D hits with that guy, they hit hard.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's for sure. I mean, Ramsey is definitely somebody that Dallas could very well benefit from. Kind of going further from that, I think Jacksonville, although they have a couple of needs, I think they go defense. I think they might go Bosa. No way Bosa slips past Baltimore, but I think Jacksonville goes Bosa just to give them another defensive weapon because they have a few good offensive players. And so they I think stay away. If Tunsil doesn't fall to Jacksonville, I think they go defense. I think they go Bosa. And so it'll be interesting, the top 5 picks there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So sticking on the NFL draft, picking up or putting down, Ezekiel Elliott, running back of Ohio State, pick number 8, Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm putting down.
Ooh.
I'm putting down because there's a team that is right in front of them that has a new head coach that wants somebody who can help them play a fast-paced offense, and I think 100% that the San Francisco 49ers could look. Now, granted, they have other needs too, but they could look to really go after somebody like Ezekiel Elliott to help kind of bolster that offense out of the backfield, whether it be a short receiving threat in a screen pass or even somebody who can go up the middle and be explosive, because that's the kind of thing Chip Kelly loves.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Ezekiel Elliott is the best offensive player in this draft, and I think that Jalen Ramsey is the best player in this draft.
I could agree with that.
So I think, I'm going to put down, man, because I really, honestly, haven't counted out the Miami Dolphins as a potential land for him, even though it's a little lower in the draft. I think they could potentially try to make that move there. I think that someone's going to go high on Ezekiel Elliott. There's just no doubt about it. And, he's another kid, if you hit hard, and you're really happy about it.
Remember, Philadelphia got that number 8 pick from Miami.
Oh, yeah, they did. I am losing it. I'm sorry. I did not mean that. So, yeah, I will put down, I think Elliott will end up going right there. I'm with you. I think he could get a San Fran, though. I still think if San Fran could potentially, depending on what happens with the first couple picks, they could potentially be looking at Carson Wentz there. Because we all know Chip Kelly likes to make those picks, too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, that's an interesting thing there. So we'll definitely see how that goes. All right. Ooh, I'm going up.
Do you want me to go ahead with the Hue question?
Sure.
Okay, picking up or putting down. Of course, the Hue Jackson story came out about, the Bengals basically not wanting to write him in as the next head coach and not wanting to guarantee it, him being power hungry. Picking up or putting down, do you really believe that this is truly the story on why Hue Jackson left compared to really just wanting to be a head coach in the NFL in 2016?
I'll put down, but halfway. I might bend the card.
All right.
I really believe Marvin Lewis put that plan together. And I really believe that Marvin Lewis wanted to keep him here. And I think Marvin Lewis really believes that he wants to step down, to get and help Hue Jackson there. But at the same time, I don't in any way, shape, or form believe that that Hue Jackson was just like, yeah, that's cool. I'll sit there and wait. Don't mind me. I'll just hang out here instead of wait for when 12 teams want to hire me. Because you got to remember, the whole time he's having these talks with the Browns, he's negotiating a deal to go fly to New York to go interview for that job. He's looking at a few other places. Everybody wanted Hue Jackson. Hell, my friends in Dallas were saying that if for some reason or another Jason Garrett got fired, they thought Hue Jackson would be in Dallas next year coaching Tony Romo. Like that, he's a guy that was wanted. Big time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it. However, I am one that I'm going a little bit stronger. I'm putting it down for the full story. I think it's about 3/4 true. I think, number one, Hue Jackson is power crazy.
Yep.
I think that he is all about wanting to have his control. Number one, I don't see that being the case in Cincinnati at any point because, of course, we know the Brown family. The Brown family thinks that if you're not in the Brown family, you get mediocre say in the organization. And I don't think that would have flew with Hue Jackson. And so I believe Marvin Lewis was trying to at least talk to the Brown family about the possibility of it. However, I don't think in any right mind this would have been and I know I'm going to again get hate mail for this. I don't think the Bengals were going to be the right fit for Hue Jackson because Hue Jackson wants too much, too quick, too soon in terms of power without proof that he can handle 100% the workload like Marvin Lewis has.
Well, that and we heard this year that the Bengals were really high on Paul Guenther being like their future guy, and so I thought that played a lot into that for me too. I thought, and
of course this all went out the window when the very next, if I'm not mistaken, the very next day, was it Friday or Saturday he signed the 1-year extension?
Yeah, I think it was like literally the day before, like the story came out.
Because I think it was, I want to say it was Friday.
Yeah.
That the story came out. Because everybody was tied up. I wrote the story, and so this is why I'm thinking it's Friday, because I think I was actually sitting in a restaurant on Friday when the news came out, and then typed the story on my phone. Because nobody else would. No, I'm kidding.
I know. I'm behind. I'm catching up soon.
You are catching up. By the way, you are threatened to be dethroned as king. We run a contest, by the way, for these guys, because these guys work so hard, and Dylan and I appreciate it on every level. And so, I've got to get this prize thing together. I have yet to figure out the prize. So we try to reward these guys because they do such a great job, on the site for sure. And so, Tim won last month, and this month, of course, help our guys out. If you have a favorite writer, help them out for sure. Because whoever gets the most page view average per article wins, and they have to have more than 4 articles. So Tim is behind. Boo ha ha. But
Life's been crazy, my friend. Life's been crazy.
Same here. Same here. I'm a little bit behind this week. I'll probably get an email from our lovely managing editor, Phil, who came over from our NBA sites, and he definitely gives us some great feedback. But I'll probably be getting an email from him this week about other needing to step it up or barely making the cut, because I've got I'll have 2 days to get all my articles in. So it's not unheard of, but my wife will kill me. So
yeah.
If I'm not here next week and you have Dylan or one of the other guys, I'm probably dead. So but these guys do an awesome job. So please, this is my plea: go to stripehype.com, go read what these guys put up. Of course, I try my best to put up the best articles I can, but our site is way more than Dylan and myself. Tim, Brian, Dustin did a great job. I know he's kind of on a hiatus because of some personal stuff, which congratulations to him and his wife. I believe they are
nice. Way to go.
They are getting baby number 3. I believe it's baby number 3. Keeping along and healthy in terms of their pregnancy. So congratulations to them.
Absolutely.
And of course, the rest of the staff there, Serenity, and I know I'm going to miss them. There, Matt, Pedroza, Casey, all those guys do such a great job. Of course, Casey and Brian did a great job last week in such short notice, because we literally gave them 10 hours, 12 hours?
Yeah, I was I was trying to go, man, and I just could not move, so I was like...
I've been there,
yeah.
So I don't blame you at all. But they did a great job, and of course that was the first time we tried actually having more than 2 people on a podcast. So I need to get better at calling on people.
Dude, I say next week we get a bunch of people. By the way, we got to talk about, because I thought next Thursday is anniversary day for me, so I gotta.
Ooh.
Yeah, I gotta work the show around that somehow. What if we get 2 or 3 writers with us next week, and we do a first round mock draft on the air?
That would be awesome if everybody could get something together. Obviously, as you know, we spend a lot of time online during the show and on Twitter, so it would be interesting to see if those guys would be up for it for sure. But
I'll try. I'll send it out, see if I can make it happen. Or if not, you and I are just gonna do a mock draft next week. Yeah,
well, no, absolutely. I mean, even if the guys can't be on it, of course, in 2 weeks, where are you going to be?
Chi-Town, baby.
That's right. Matt Pedroza should be with us that week. So in 2 weeks, Matt will be joining the other Matt. So it'll be Matt and Matt instead of, what was it, Pete and Pete, the old Nickelodeon show.
That show was awesome.
So it's Matt and Matt. We're talking about trying to figure out something special for that week, whether we do a face-to-face video and possibly do it live on YouTube, which would be awesome. Or whether we do a pre-recorded face-to-face. I'm thinking, though, we have to do something live.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Could be wrong, but that would be really cool. But yeah, so we've got some stuff kind of brewing in the works there. Tim, believe me, if for some odd reason something doesn't work out, because again, married man, anniversary. For number 5, we were down in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, nice.
And luckily, all we basically had to pay for was gas and some other stuff, food, all that, because we're very lucky. My brother lives down in Charleston, as well as my parents have a place down in Charleston. So we were able to stay there totally rent-free and hotel-free, and so we enjoyed the beach, and we actually got to enjoy a lot of stuff on more of a budget steak type thing, where we didn't feel like we were coming home broke.
Yeah, so, I hear ya.
But so if for some odd reason you have to take the week off, I fully understand. But hopefully we'll be back next week. Hopefully the girlfriend works around it. That just may mean that the ring might have to be just a little bit bigger. Kidding, by the way. Kidding.
Oh, yeah. We got a bit for that. So, that being said, last picking up our next. I got to have a fun one every show.
Absolutely.
All right. So last night was a huge night in the NBA. One of the biggest nights the NBA will ever have.
Yep.
Was Kobe Bryant's 60-point farewell a bigger story than the Golden State Warriors breaking the Chicago Bulls' 72-win record?
Absolutely.
You really think so? No way.
Absolutely. In fact, you know what's funny? If we go back and watch the ratings for both games, I can almost guarantee you the ratings for Kobe Bryant last game was higher than the Golden State Warrior game, because they were on at the exact same time.
I know. I have them both DVR'd. I haven't watched. I know what happened, but I haven't watched them yet.
And it was ridiculous because I watched the first quarter before going to bed, and Kobe went from going like 0 for 5 to all of a sudden having like 17 points in the first quarter.
Dude, he took 50 shots.
Ridiculous, he did. But the funny thing is like it almost became a game of anything Kobe can do, everybody else couldn't do better. Yeah. Because they ended up winning the game.
Yeah, and he had 60 points.
But that was such a... that had so much media attention because it was Kobe Bryant's last game. Kobe Bryant has been the Michael Jordan of this era.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way, because I mean, for some of the guys who are in their 30s and even 40s remember Jordan very well. Younger guys may not remember Jordan so well, but Kobe Bryant has been kind of the great one of this period. Of course, you had Magic Johnson and during one period. You had Dr. J being another period. You had Michael Jordan being another period. Now we've had Kobe Bryant and we have LeBron James. So Kobe was, and Kobe will be if he isn't in the Hall of Fame first ballot for the NBA. There's something wrong with those people. But that is why. I mean, he's such a legend.
I see it, man. And, I get where you're coming from, and I fully appreciate... I was never a huge Kobe fan, but I appreciate everything he did for the NBA. But yeah. This is a record that everyone literally said would never be broken. That there's no way some team can find a way to string together 82 games without losing 10 ever again. A team that literally shot nonstop. Steph Curry hit 400 three-pointers this year. That's ridiculous. Yeah, man. So we're talking about a team that's probably going to go back-to-back, a team that's set so many records that are starting the next NBA dynasty. A dynasty Kobe Bryant once had is now come to fruition with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, but we know, first off, Steve Kerr was on that Bulls team. Steve Kerr is leading this Golden State Warriors team. I mean, so anymore, it's kind of one of those situations where I think there was so much hype around it so early that by the end of it, nobody was really surprised. I think if this would have been one of those things where it was like the impossible was happening and how, all this uproar, but if we're back in the Bulls' day, this would have been huge. The only issue with it is media is so much bigger these days.
Oh, yeah.
That by the time it happened, nobody was surprised. So everybody wanted to see Kobe. Because Kobe's last game was kind of the game to put him out. Everybody already expected the Golden State Warriors to beat the Grizzlies, even though 2 games prior, the Grizzlies took them to a 199-point game.
It was nuts.
Where they lost by 1. But nobody looked at that fact because the Grizzlies kind of stunk the rest of the year.
Yeah, it was nuts, man. It was a hell of a game, though.
No, I'll take your word on it. I was busy watching Kobe and then sleeping.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. But yeah, man, I mean, it was a great night for basketball, and
absolutely.
A night the NBA really made some money off of, to say the least. So since the lottery's fixed, it means the Lakers are the first pick now, right?
Do they have the first pick?
They will. It's the lottery's
okay.
The lottery's fixed. Let's be honest.
Okay. Well, I'm 30 for 30 on ESPN is talking about Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah,
so.
it's the one on the Magic with Shaq and Penny. I can't wait to watch it.
Well, it's on right now. I don't know if you're DVRing it
I
or
am.
not. But...
Oh, I am.
Oh. All right. So, but with that being said, if you would like to do the honors.
Yes, I would love to. We will now close out this week's edition of Men in Stripes, brought to you by StripeHype.com, a fan-sided exclusive. I promise this is the week. I'm getting it all together. I'm getting the shows downloaded. I'm getting it all put in. We will be back with all of our weekly episodes on iTunes, getting that taken care of. Until then, be sure to check us out on YouTube each and every week with Matthew being so awesome and so gracious with my crazy life lady to be sure taking care of this for me while we're still killing it on Stripe Hype. Thanks again to all our fans tuning in to give us suggestions. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at meninstripessh. If you want to shoot us an email, shoot it to us at meninstripessh@gmail.com. We'll be sure to answer that, and if you have any questions, we'd love to put them on there for you and get the word out. Thank you all again. Everyone enjoy the week. We're almost to draft day, baby. Have a good one, and hoo-day.